this is why this matters. Because under stress and in a dynamic environment where conditions are shifting, if you have not tuned, if you have not conditioned yourself, or if you have been tuned and conditioned subconsciously and unconsciously by forces acting upon you when you were not aware of them, you are going to resonate with the frequencies that come most naturally to the condition you've been left in the most.
The Most High can use anything and everything that he wants to at his disposal. And while he is absolutely preparing Joshua to not resonate with fear, I love how he turns it around.
With that being said, I'm going to say a line that I've never gotten to say before, nor did I think I would ever get to say it, least of all on this podcast.
Right.
Let's go to the whorehouse.
There may be somebody listening and you may be used to the only value that you bring is your body. You are so used to only being valuable or paid attention to when you offer one thing.
Yeah.
Maybe allow the Lord to reframe your narrative to understand and know that, no, you can operate from a different resonance.
Yes.
You can be tuned to a different frequency and allow yourself to be used by God to provide shelter.
What we're saying here is Rahab wound up serving a literally, militaristically invaluable role. She brought some of the most valuable intelligence to the table. You've told your family, your friends, your loved ones, God made me a promise. God told me he's going to give me dominion over this flesh. I'm walking what he sent me to this planet to do. And ever since then, you've been walking in circles. And when people want to know why, it's very simple. I'm circling my flesh. I'm not done. If the enemy is working this hard to intimidate you, why?
This hard and this long.
And investing this much time.
Yeah.
You have been battling fear for so long. Has it ever occurred to you that the enemy is terrified that you might wake up one morning and realize God's got me?
What if I told you you were meant for something more? And what if at first sight your birthright was inked in blood? And what if dominion was written in big bold letters? And what if we shouldn't just occupy but overcome? And what if the observation of opposition was us? Antikemi, the podcast.
If you have ever taken any type of time to go through the pages of Scripture, it can be overwhelming. Especially as a serious student of the Word of God, right? We've even had some people recently try to express like, hey, I have a hunger. I want to learn how to read my Bible in a way where I'm not so scattered all over the place and I cannot focus. And so by the grace of God, we hope to kind of do one of the favorite things that I get a chance to do, and that's walk through the Bible in a very systematic way, do kind of a deep dive on some things, on some areas that we've, been geeking out about.
Yeah.
If you tuned in last week and caught the last episode, we dove headfirst into vibration and sound and frequency, but there was some things that we really wanted to add on to that conversation, but time did not permit it. So we're going to dive into that kind of tonight, but ultimately this is the question I want to leave us all with. We can gather knowledge.
Right.
We can be hungry for more, but what do we do with that?
There it is.
How do we use it in a way that we can live Antikemi to everything that we're experiencing? And so if I could just say, if we're going to go down that path and we're asking the questions, what happens when the sound of music turns violent?
Yeah.
What happens when the violence of silence is built on vibrations? What do you do when sound is used as a weapon? And I believe the Word of God has something to say about it. And if God is the author of these things, let's see how he has used it for his benefit, because we can both agree the enemy is absolutely using these things against God's people and leveraging our ignorance against us.
And even people who might not think they may not think they're sold on that concept yet. You know, I don't know if those people would find their way to our podcast or not, but they might. They might be trying to figure out, you know, is all this energy frequency stuff, is this just new age mumbo jumbo? Number one, no,
Right.
because it's physics.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get where the metaphysical application of it can feel, you know, I mean, we have to look for that line,
Yes.
you know. But even if that's kind of where you're at, where you're still trying to figure out, like, how much do I think there is to this, except you just don't know that you know. But there's a reason that you were taught, if you're a believer, you know, to be careful what you listen to be careful what you play on your sound system in your car, to be careful what you put in front of your eyes, you know, on your screen, like, you just don't know that you know. But the whole reason you were told that is because the frequencies that play on your senses actually have a profound impact on your being and
how you go about your day to day, how you live your life.
Yes.
And how you can be either successful or find yourself in that trauma loop.
Yep.
Over and over and over again. So we're gonna have some fun with this. We doing a Bible study. So if you're watching it right now, grab your Bible,
Yeah.
grab a highlighter, get something to write with. Feel free to stop and start as you need to.
Yeah.
Don't rush through this. I think this is something that's going to definitely add value. So with that being
And
said,
jump in the comments with your observations, you know, it helps us out tremendously. Y'all have been getting in the comments,
Right.
But it also is bearing fruit. We're you know, incorporating stuff into these discussions that has come out of that comment section. But it does help tremendously with the algorithm. I wanted to say something tonight when we're saying the normal like, subscribe. If you happen to be watching us on YouTube and you use your mobile device, get in there and figure out how to use the hype feature. It's really helping, and it will help.
Yeah, all you do is just swipe right at the comments,
at the top of the comments.
top of the comments, and you'll see the ability to hit hype.
Yeah.
That makes a tremendous difference for
Huge
these
difference.
videos.
And you get like 3 of those a week that you can use, and they make a profound difference, especially for upstart creators like we still are. But then, you know, there's also spiritual principles. You're coming into agreement. That's why we've learned to be a little more choosy with how we do use those kind of features. And
Yes, sir.
But if you feel aligned with what God has given us to do, what I wanted to say at this juncture is, y'all, this is a podcast, and we are absolutely having a blast. But we are grown men. We are fathers. We are in our 40s. We're husbands. We're pastors. We have a lot pulling on us in a lot of directions. We are now hitting a juncture where we've been doing this now for enough episodes that we're like, oh, I think we're really doing this. Like all gas, no brake. And that is not because this is fun. That is because we believe God has called us to be a voice that helps coordinate the chaos of the noise into clarity for the Lord's people, and set before them a concept drawn directly from Galatians 5 and other New Testament verses that use this Greek word antikemi to basically make the case, everything about this world, including all systems, businesses, governments, religious institutions, ours included,
Yes, sir.
all exist within this false reality overlay, this illusion, this matrix that is the womb of Mystery Babylon. And the question is, when you have to function in that reality or that overlay, how do you move yourself in accordance with the principles of an entirely opposite, which is what that word Antikemi means, to lie opposite, an entirely opposite kingdom, an entirely opposite realm? How do you represent the kingdom of heaven faithfully while having to move through this realm? And part of that is by learning how to distill the noise. My sheep hear my voice, and the voice of another they will not follow. Distill the noise down into the clarity. You're not going to solve every mystery, but you can move forward with clarity, and you can know when you're passing the point of diminishing returns in a rabbit hole, that, you know what, I think I got what I need out of this to understand how I'm supposed to position myself accordingly as an ambassador of another kingdom. And now it's time to move on.